unearned fame and fortune are far more destructive than they might appear. And right now, there's no organization on the planet that proves this point more than the WNBA. The league just posted its highest average game viewership in 24 years. They're bringing in massive new sponsorships, at least by the league standard. They're selling out arenas, which used to be unheard of for the WNBA. And this should be a dream come true for everybody involved.
Unearned fame and fortune often prove more destructive than they appear, and no organization currently illustrates this principle more clearly than the WNBA. The league recently recorded its highest average game viewership in 24 years, secured substantial new sponsorships by its standards, and began selling out arenas in ways that
executives to the players to the reporters who, for their sins in a past life, have been cursed with the job of covering a women's basketball league. Everyone should be overjoyed. But there's a big problem. All of this success, every bit of it, is due to the presence of one player in the league, and that is a generational talent named Caitlin Clark, who of course you've heard of, and still probably the only WNBA player.
Were once unthinkable. This should be a dream come true for everyone involved in the WNBA, yet the success has triggered unexpected backlash. As viewership skyrocketed and benefits improved, women's basketball finally captured the spotlight, but suddenly wild accusations emerged from veterans, executives, players, and reporters alike. Everyone should be overjoyed, but there is a significant problem. Nearly all this success stems from one player, a generational talent named Caitlin Clark, who remains the only WNBA player most.
Reason the WNBA just won the lottery. Without Caitlin Clark, nobody cares about any of these players or the league. With her, most people still don't care, but a lot more people care than did before, and everybody knows that, right? Therefore, everyone in the league, other than Caitlin Clark, is doing exactly what so many lottery winners do. They're allowing all of their worst personality traits to surface because they just
casual fans recognize. Matt Walsh is calling out what he sees as hypocrisy, armed with facts, figures, and a willingness to name names, as he prepares to expose the shocking truth behind the league's biggest controversy, revealing what players are saying behind the scenes. Picture Caitlin Clark stepping onto the court and transforming the WNBA overnight, not merely making waves but unleashing a tsunami across women's basketball. She is the reason.
A lot of stories out there about lottery winners who go on to destroy their lives. Something like 70% of them supposedly go bankrupt within a few years. It's not hard to see how that would happen. When you give a lot of money and attention to a person who didn't earn any of it, that person doesn't suddenly change overnight. Instead, more often than not, all of their worst character traits are amplified 10 times over, and in many cases that leads to a very public and humiliating collapse. This is a principle that doesn't just apply to individuals, it turns out. It applies to organizations.
The league won the lottery, because without her few people cared about any of these players or the league itself. With her, although most still do not pay close attention, significantly more people care than before, and everyone knows that. Consequently, everyone in the league except Clark is behaving like so many lottery winners, allowing their worst personality traits to surface because they simply cannot help themselves. The resentment
in this league lately, in particular since the season began. And the thing about resentment, as we all know, is that it tends to fester over time. It gets worse and worse. That's exactly what we're seeing now.
The NBA is experiencing an unprecedented surge, with viewership skyrocketing to record-breaking numbers that leave executives astonished, arenas packed to capacity, and an electric atmosphere that was once unheard of in the league. It feels as though a switch has been flipped, making women's basketball the hottest ticket in town. There are countless stories about lottery winners who destroy their lives, with roughly 70% reportedly going back.
Hysteria in the WNBA has somehow reached yet another inflection point. The league is currently in the midst of what really might be the single most contrived racism scandal, certainly in any professional sport, at least since the fake noose in Bubba Wallace's garage. Specifically, a bunch of WNBA players have come out claiming that they've been victimized by racial slurs and other forms of racist attacks. Like a lot of players are claiming.
Bankrupt within a few years, and it is easy to understand why giving large sums of money and attention to someone who did not earn it amplifies their worst character traits tenfold, often leading to public and humiliating collapse. This principle applies not just to individuals but to organizations as well. The WNBA's rising popularity is
what happens over the past year with the W since you first came in to where it is now, and obviously the game has grown and people have there's new fans, but how do you appreciate the new fans without all the noise that's
I
coming
don't
with
appreciate
it?
the new fans that sit there and yell racial slurs at myself, my teammates, and the that I played against. Because yeah, those might be opponents, but those are friends too. Like they don't deserve that. So I don't appreciate the new fans. I think it's okay to do that.
Attracting major sponsorships and lucrative deals, with the floodgates appearing to open as everyone wants a piece of the pie. Players are enjoying better benefits and the league is gaining attention from unexpected sources, but not everyone is cheering, as some players are grumbling amidst all this success, and there is palpable resentment brewing, particularly since the season began.
That Brittany Griner was asked was about the massive growth of this league, which was dead in the water just a year ago and had been dead for its entire existence. And the reporter asked, what do you think of all the new fans? And like in any other context, when someone says, what do you think of all the new fans that are coming in? Usually it's, oh, it's great. We love how everybody is supporting the league and we're so grateful. None of that. Instead of some gratitude, some appreciation for the people who have saved the WNBA, who pay to come out to see bad players like Brittany Griner.
Resentment tends to fester over time, growing worse, which is exactly what we are observing now. It is puzzling that a league finally receiving the recognition.
It's been a lot of nonsense. I think in my 11-year career, I've never experienced the racial comments from the Indiana Fever fan base. We had her face on a serious matter that happened in this world, and it's unacceptable, honestly. And there's no place for it, and we've been professional throughout the whole entire thing, but I've never been called the things that I've been called on social media.
It has long craved has players seemingly unhappy with what they have fought for, raising the million-dollar question of whether they are jealous of Clark's sudden stardom, afraid for their own careers, or hiding something deeper. The WNBA's race hysteria has reached another inflection point, possibly representing the most contrived racism scandal in professional sports since the fake news incident.
They're now accusing the people who have started showing up to WNBA games for the first time in more than 2 decades of being horrible racists.
Incident in Bubba Wallace's garage, as numerous players have claimed victimization by racial slurs and racist attacks. The league is riding high on popularity when suddenly explosive racism accusations threaten to tear women's basketball apart, like lighting a match in a room full of gasoline.
None of these racial slurs we're told about, some of which have supposedly occurred during games, none of them, as far as I'm aware, have actually been caught on camera. Interesting. There's no visual or audio evidence that might substantiate any of this. Not a single credible report, even. That's extremely unusual, obviously, given that there are cameras and smartphones at every
Brittany Griner, one of the league's biggest stars, came out swinging with a shocking claim that new fans are shouting slurs at games. The question she was asked focused on the massive growth of a league that was dead in the water just a year ago and had been stagnant for its entire existence, yet instead of expressing gratitude for the people who have saved the WNBA by paying to watch, she responded with resentment. Griner was not alone, as Alyssa
be all over the internet. But those videos are not all over the internet. They're not anywhere on the internet. So instead, we have to take the player's word for it.
The whole situation is tearing the league apart. On one side, you've got players feeling victimized and demanding action. On the other, you've got skeptics like Walsh calling for hard evidence before jumping to conclusions. And caught in the middle? The fans, the sponsors, and the future of the WNBA itself.
Nothing about the answer makes sense, even in that context. I mean, why would that be the first thing that Griner mentions when the reporter asks about the fans? Why not say, well, the overwhelming majority of the fans are great people. I'm so happy that they're paying money, and I'm so grateful to have them. Like, why wouldn't you, even if this was happening, why wouldn't you start with it?
Thomas, another superstar and an 11-year veteran who has seen it all, backed her up with intense words, saying she had never experienced racial comments from the Indiana Fever fan base in her career, that the situation was unacceptable, and that she had been called things on social media that have no place in the game. These are serious accusations from players of their caliber, but something does not quite add up. Matt Walsh, never one to shy away from controversy, began poking holes in these allegations, and he is not the only one raising eyebrows, as players are essentially accusing the people.
I'm calling her in And I'm saying to her, I need answers.
Who have started showing up to WNBA games for the first time in over 2 decades of being horrible racists. The question that has people scratching their heads is, where is the proof? Since everyone has a camera in their pocket
and kind of swatted at Caitlin. Did you intend to hit her in the eye? And if so, could you just, or if not, either way, could you talk about what happened on that play?
Carrington responds,
I don't even know why I would intend to hit anybody in the eye. That doesn't even make sense to me. But no, I didn't. I didn't know I hit her, actually. I was trying to make a play on the ball, and I guess I followed through and I hit her. So obviously it's never intentional. That's not even like the type of...
And arenas are packed with fans holding up phones, yet not a single incident has been caught on tape. None of the alleged racial slurs that supposedly occurred during...
Offensive. It's the bare minimum you'd expect under the circumstances. It's the kind of questions that reporters ask male athletes all the time. When there's a foul, when there's a scuffle, it's the same kind of questions. But Carrington immediately gets snippy and obnoxious in response, and then just for asking these questions, Brennan, who incidentally is one of the biggest champions of women's sports in the industry, is now getting dogpiled. In particular, the WNBA Players Association just put out one of the most demented statements.
Games have been captured on camera, and there is no visual or audio evidence to substantiate any of these claims, no credible report.
All BS. Unprofessional members of the media like Christine Brennan. You are not fooling anyone. That so-called interview in the name of journalism was a blatant attempt to bait a professional athlete into participating in a narrative that is false and designed to fuel racist, homophobic, and misogynistic vitriol on social media. You cannot hide behind your
which is extremely unusual given the prevalence of cameras and smartphones at every WNBA game. Walsh calls it like he sees it, saying these accusations are totally made up, a bold statement that has people thinking, but why would players lie about something so serious? The videos that should be all over the internet are nowhere to be found, so we are asked to take the players' word for it. The situation is tearing the league apart, with players feeling victimized and demanding action on one side.
Currently off limits.
So we're at the point now that journalists can't even ask black players about fouls they commit against Caitlin Clark without being accused of racism and somehow also homophobia for asking the question. That's how much racism there is in the WNBA. Even asking questions is now racist. Which I guess...
Skeptics like Walsh calling for hard evidence on the other, and fans, sponsors, and the future of the WNBA caught in the middle. Nothing about Griner's answer makes sense, as she could have acknowledged that the overwhelming majority of fans are great people and expressed gratitude for their support, even if isolated incidents were occurring. Picture a packed arena with the crowd on the edge of their seats as Caitlin Clark dominates the court, when suddenly everything changes and Clark is on the ground clutching her face. Rewinding to that fateful game, Dejonae Carrington goes for the ball, Clark goes down, the crowd erupts in gasps and boos.
On video or hear any of it, but you know, just take their word for it. Take the WNBA's word for it. Take the media's word for it. Yet some WNBA players are still upset that the media isn't making an even bigger deal out of the fake racism.
No foul is called, and social media explodes with debate over whether it was intentional or an accident. Christine Brennan, a veteran USA Today reporter, asked Carrington about the incident, as reporters do, pointing out that when she swatted at Caitlin, did she intend to hit her in the eye, and Carrington responded that it does not make sense to...
For myself, I don't really get to speak out on things just because I just try to ignore, and I just try to stand strong. Like, I've been through so much, I've seen so much, I've been attacked so many times.
To intend to hit anyone in the eye, that she did not know she hit her, she was trying to make a play on the ball, and it was never intentional. The backlash was intense, as the WNBA Players Association did not simply disagree with Brennan's question but went nuclear, issuing one of the most demented statements imaginable, accusing Brennan of being unprofessional and trying to bait Carrington into a false narrative, calling the interview a blatant attempt to fuel racist, homophobic, and misogynistic vitriol on social media, and urging USA Today to review its ethical conduct principles. All of this came from asking about a play, which is part of sports journalism and happens in other leagues all the time, but in the WNBA it is apparently off limits for journalists to ask black players about fouls they commit against Caitlin Clark without being accused of racism and homophobia. This raises questions about what it means for sports journalism and women's basketball, whether we are entering an era where tough questions are taboo and every inquiry is scrutinized for hidden agendas, as this is about the relationship between players, media, and fans, about transparency, accountability, and the nature of sports reporting. As the dust settles, women's basketball is at a crossroads, and how it navigates this challenge could shape the future of the sport and its coverage for years to come. Even as there is no video or audio evidence, yet some WNBA players are upset that the media is not making an even bigger deal out of the fake racism scandal. Just when you thought the drama could not get any more intense, Angel Reese and Aya Wilson entered the fray, throwing gasoline on an already blazing fire, with the media becoming part of the story rather than merely reporting it. Reese called out the media for profiting from her pain and creating a villain narrative around her while ignoring her calls for accountability, stating that the media should have done more to combat the ongoing issue.
The Fever are going to be over 200,000 higher than the next highest total attendance in league history.
Clarkonomics, my
While ignoring her calls for accountability, stating that the media should have done more to combat the ongoing issue of racism in women's basketball before it reached a boiling point, and that they were late to the party. Matt Walsh pointed fingers at the media, accusing them of being complicit in what he called
had any encounters with things like that since you've been in the WNBA?
No, never.
a contrived scandal, reporting on a phantom crisis without verifying the claims and comparing it to other sports controversies that turned out to be nothing burgers. Reese's pleas for accountability and action have been repeatedly ignored, as she wrote that the media benefited from her pain and being villainized to create a narrative, and they allowed this because it was beneficial to them.
Be careful when you say like the Fever fans, because I don't think it's the Fever fans. I think it's the people that wanted Caitlin Clark to be a certain type of way and they thought that she was, and so they became Caitlin Clark fans, assuming that, and then they realized like, oh no, she's actually not.
Aya Wilson stated that it does not matter what black women do, they will still be swept underneath the rug, which is why it boils her blood when people say it is not about race, because it is. The WNBA issued a statement condemning these comments and promising action, but Walsh questions how effective these measures can be without solid evidence. Meanwhile, the league is experiencing serious growth, with the highest average game viewership in 24 years, yet everyone is focused on controversy instead of celebrating, and the situation
facing any sort of racism, hurtful, disrespectful, hateful comments and threats. Those aren't fans, those are trolls, and it's a real disservice to the people in our league, the organization. The
is creating a divide among players, with some doubling down on claims and others staying quiet. Fans are also asking questions, some rallying behind the players and others skeptical, leaving everyone caught in a whirlwind of accusations and counter-accusations, uncertain whether this is a pivotal moment in sports history or just a storm in a teacup. Be careful when saying the Fever fans, because it is not the Fever fans but the people who wanted Caitlin Clark to be a certain way and assumed she was, then realized she is actually not racist. Just when you thought the WNBA drama could not get more intense, Clark stepped into the spotlight, and the anticipation was building.
To uplift this league in a very positive light is the best thing that we can do, because there are so many great players, there's so many great teams, there are so many positive storylines that can be written and celebrated, and for me, that's why I became a fan of this league, is these people were my idols. I grew up
over whether she would follow the playbook of rookies past who stayed silent during controversies or blaze her own trail. She finally broke her silence with words that sent shockwaves through the league, stating that nobody in the league should face racism, hurtful, disrespectful, hateful comments, or threats, and that those are trolls, not fans, doing a real disservice to the people in the league and the organization. She praised both new and old fans, saying there are many really good fans regardless of how long they have supported the league, balancing support for her fellow players with defense of the fans who have rallied behind her. She threw another curveball by saying that continuing to uplift the league in a very positive light is the best thing they can do, because there are so many great players, teams, and positive storylines to celebrate, and that is why she became a fan, because these people were her idols growing up.
Too manufactured and overblown to take seriously. They're reaching to a degree that's comical and delusional at the same time. This scandal has been invented out of whole cloth by WNBA players for one reason and one reason only. They are racked with envy and resentment that the most popular player in.
The reaction to her statements was mixed, with some fans praising her for not playing the victim card, while others said she was out of touch and did not understand what her fellow players were going through. Matt Walsh loved her response, saying it proved his point that the controversy was overblown, and he was practically shouting that even Clark does not think there is widespread racism in the league, raising the question of what the other players are seeing and whether this is a big misunderstanding or something deeper. The scandal appears too manufactured and overblown to take seriously, reaching a degree that is comical and delusional, invented out of whole cloth.
Claiming is that Caitlin Clark, by bringing a bunch of white fans to the league, has naturally also brought racism. Basically, they're complaining that too many white people are watching women's basketball.
By WNBA players driven by envy and resentment that the most popular player in the league is white. Let's talk about the bombshell Matt Walsh dropped when he said the whole WNBA controversy is not about racism at all but about something far more personal: envy. Caitlin Clark steps onto the court and suddenly the WNBA is buzzing like never before, with ticket sales soaring, sponsors lining up, and the league receiving unprecedented attention. Clark is a generational talent who is white, playing in a league where about 80% of the players are black, and that is
to push back. No normal person wants to pay money to support a team only to be told that they're racist and horrible for doing it. It's a big part of why the DEI grift has begun to collapse.
Stirring up feelings, as the claim is that by bringing a bunch of white fans to the league, Clark has naturally brought racism, essentially complaining that too many white people are watching women's basketball. Walsh argues that some players are jealous of Clark's success because she is becoming the face of the league, with endorsement deals that make other players' contracts look like pocket change, as a rookie potentially earns more off the court than veterans do on it. This is not just about Clark but about a league going through major growing pains, changing in ways not everyone is on board with.
It's clear that, none of these players or executives or sports journalists really want the league to succeed anyway. To borrow an adage from the world of sports commentary, you might even say that the WNBA is like a rubber band, one that's been stretched to the limit by pathological narcissists who only know how to complain and demean their own fans on the basis of their skin color. And one deranged sports podcast and self-pitying press conference at a time, that rubber band.
As established players who have been grinding for years suddenly see a rookie change everything. No normal person wants to pay money to support a team only to be told they are racist and horrible for doing so, which is a big part of why the DEI grift has begun to collapse. This is not unique to the WNBA, as other sports leagues have gone through similar growing pains when new stars rise, with controversy, representation, and star treatment popping up repeatedly. The WNBA is at a crossroads, trying to keep longtime fans happy while welcoming new attention and popularity, a balancing act that currently looks wobbly. It is clear that none of these players, executives, or sports journalists really want the league to succeed, and to borrow an adage, the WNBA is like a rubber band stretched to the limit by pathological narcissists who only know how to complain and demean their own fans based on skin color, and that rubber band is about to break. How they handle this could define the league for years to come, as Clark is bringing in fans like never before but stirring up ace and human nature. Experts say the league has a golden opportunity for growth, but the drama could backfire if not handled carefully, as similar situations in other sports have sometimes launched a league into the stratosphere and other times caused it to crash and burn. The next season could be game-changing for the league's future, so do you agree? Let us know in the comments, like, subscribe, turn on notifications, click the video on the screen, and we will see you in the next one.